This meeting is being recorded. Welcome, everybody. This is a meeting of the Concord Historical Commission. It's March 11th, 2021, and I welcome all of you. I think I need to take a roll call. I don't actually think we have a quorum, so I will. Here.
Yeah, we do.
We do? 3 people? Okay, out of 5. So would like to welcome. Do people speak their name, or can I just acknowledge them and say hi or welcome? So
we just have everyone state their name, or you state their name and they say here or something.
Okay, Nancy Nelson.
Here.
Rebecca Lemaitre, who's an associate member.
Here.
Bob Gross, full member.
He's muted, but he's here.
Here I am.
Hi, Bob. I'd like to welcome Susan Bates, our select board member who observes us.
Here.
Let me get this out of there. Okay. And also to welcome Marcia Rasmussen and Heather Gill. And particularly to welcome Heather, who has been away for 4 or 5 months. How many months?
3 months.
No, it's been longer.
No. 12 weeks, that's it.
But in that interim, she's produced a child.
Charlotte.
Yes, Charlotte.
So Miss Charlotte might make an appearance later.
Yes.
Okay. She's right now napping. So I think if you, I presume you may have heard that the first item on tonight's agenda, a demolition review hearing for 325 Neshotic Road has been postponed. We had an opportunity to actually conduct the first Zoom meeting through an airplane because the gentleman who owns this property was flying home, but he was a little concerned it might not work, but that would have been historical for an historical commission. I realize I should step back. Heather, are you taking minutes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we will move on to item 2, which is
so we actually do need a vote to continue that public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So all in favor of continuing the hearing for 325 Neshotic Road,
Do we
please
have to go one by one?
state it publicly. Nancy?
Aye.
Is Nancy moving it?
Yeah, I move.
You move. Bob, a second?
Yep. Fine with me.
Thank you. All in favor? Nancy?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Melissa? Aye. I think that's passes. So we will continue it to the April 8th meeting. Thank you. This is why we needed Heather, or we need Marcia. We need a lot of help to conduct these meetings. Thank you. So on to item 2, the review of the bylaw amendments. I hope you've had an opportunity to read it through, and particularly we just need a paragraph for how we justify this. And Marcia had started a paragraph. Heather wrote one, and I wrote one. And I hope you've had an opportunity to review it and to suggest what's missing. Again, I know we need to explain why we're proposing this. We don't want to engender any kind of controversy, but I've never done this before, so I defer to you, Marcia, and Heather.
And I apologize that I just got this up on the website a couple hours ago, so people may need a few minutes to read through the 3 kind of options. And then I kind of took Marcia's and Melissa's and kind of put it together in one, but open to any comments on the paragraph.
Well, the shorter ones are less subject to being picked apart, maybe.
But so I would ask Marcia, I think we probably should state the 50-year rolling time frame, right?
Heather's has that, the first one, and she talks about each of the reasons why it's being, so she has streamlined
Yeah.
my rambling paragraph.
Well, and she's added additional info that I didn't have.
Which was first adopted. Is that the one you're talking about?
Well, we were working off of Marcia's, but we really hadn't discussed it. I just want everyone to be comfortable with what we're saying because I presume that I will be answering questions at town meeting, or I might.
I don't think there's any such thing as the National Historic Standards Act. I don't think that's what it's called. I think you're talking about the National Historic Preservation Act.
Maybe, I don't know where.
But if it's not repeated up above.
Well, she hasn't put, no, actually what Heather did is probably better. She just federal criteria. I think that's probably less, I don't know, more general.
Small f.
It's small f.
Yeah.
And actually, I think the longer one, the Rasmussen, is a little better in that by going back to what was first passed, going on, it will spare you in answering questions from having to go recite the past yourself. And when people make presentations at meetings like that, I will confess, even as a historian, that you get people to tune out and you go over what you did before.
Well,
So I think having it to read will accomplish that job.
Yeah, I like the more concise one up top only because I think that for people reading through, it's you sort of get a little too lost in the details, I think, in the long one. Do we want something in here about the statistics that we were just discussing about how unsuccessful we've been in the past, or does that come up later?
I think that would be something we put in our presentation that would be at the select board public hearing.
Okay, so in that case, I do. I like how concise the top one is, and I think any questions that arose from that could be answered orally.
yeah.
Other thoughts?
When I log into Zoom, I listen to you talking for a bit, and I thought that one thing in the presentation that we might want to bring up is looking at the historic resources listing that Melissa's called our attention to. Could we get somebody to go through that to find out how many of those properties listed in 1995 are now gone?
I think we could do that.
Because I think that would be important information to enhance what we would say about our own work. I mean, if people knew that in a generation, which is roughly 1995 to the present, in a generation we lost X% of historic properties.
Yeah, that's a good statistic.
So you're suggesting for in the last, say, 25 years, roughly.
Right.
But let me back up. Because in 1995, you had a limited number of houses that you had on a list for demolition review. So are you asking, Bob, for us to look at all of the houses that would currently be eligible?
No. I'm saying take the houses, take the properties that are in that handbook.
Okay.
And simply say, how much of the historic landscape have we lost?
Okay. I think that would be relatively easy to do.
Okay, that's a good point.
There are not that many houses.
That's great.
Because that would enhance a statement about our own work.
Yeah.
The two together, I mean, if one can make a case that we're talking about a vanishing historical landscape.
And by landscape, you're including buildings and landscapes, or you're talking about buildings?
I'm actually meaning both, but
Okay.
But specifically when we talk about the structures that were listed.
Don't forget the landscapes.
Well, don't forget it, except that they're not, right now, we don't have, we're talking about houses.
Right, but I think Nancy always wants to say landscape is not just a metaphor.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I don't know that we need a vote on this. I just wanted a sense of the commission. So it sounds that the first version would work. And then again, I do defer to Heather, you and Marcia, because you've done these before. And what works best in the town warrant.
Yep. I would leave it to their discretion. I just think shorter is better sometimes. And that's, Marcia, you've been through this more often than anybody. So your perspective is really important.
Well, I was just trying to pull out, one of the things that you look for in the explanation is, what is the rationale? Why are you doing this? And so that's why mine might be a little wordier, but I think Heather provides, in that paragraph, provides the basics. So there might be one or two elements that you want to add to the Gill version, but the Rasmussen version doesn't need to be in there. I'm not wed to that. I just wanted to give you something as a jumping off point.
No. I know. Thank you. Because we did.
That's good for us to know
Well,
more specifically too.
either way, you've got to make a case for why it's 50 years or older.
Well, my point was that I just thought it's a lot easier to say we are aligning ourselves with the federal standard.
The Secretary of the Interior standard.
Secretary of the Interior standard, which is followed by over 1,000 communities across America.
And it's key to the granting of CPC funds for historic preservation, by the way. So the CPC is responsible for ensuring that any projects funded by them under the historic preservation category meet the Secretary's standards.
Okay,
And I
so
think
that
we're a little lax in that.
That should be said in the presentation, because, somebody could say, in light of recent U.S. history, who's Secretary of the Interior?
we're not going to be political, Bob.
No, but the point is, it's not just a current administration. It's built into procedures and standards.
It has transcended administration
Right.
so far because it's a professional document that's been painstakingly developed over many years by.
But I thought that's probably our safest, strongest argument, that we are trying to align ourselves with the Secretary's standards, which is 50 years. And, in that it states that, it allows for enough time so that there's, kind of contemporary interest in something, or passing interest of a property has passed, and it really has gained substantial value over 50 years.
Like Conantum.
Yeah, like
And
Conantum.
other modern-
I'm sorry that we weren't able to designate Conantum because it's too late now.
Mm-hmm.
In just reading through my paragraph, I could put to better align with the federal criteria after the second changing the date to rolling 50 years. So it encompasses both the definition of historically significant and the 50-year date is aligning with the federal standards. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would it also be okay to somehow include the CPC, what Nancy's talking about? Because that is an important part of, isn't it?
Yeah, there is sometimes resistance to conforming to federal standards in Concord. So it might be good to have a good reason.
Yeah, I don't know if listing CPC in this is really relevant because generally the CPC projects don't really deal with demo review.
That's true.
So-
No, but they do have to use the Secretary of the Interior standards. So.
Right,
And that
right.
relates to historic significance, blah, blah, blah.
Can I muck this up a little bit so that you made me wonder?
No.
If a famous writer lived 40 years ago, lived in a house built 40 years ago, and wrote a major one or two books that won major prizes, Pulitzer Prize, National Book Award, and then died, and somebody proposed to tear down that 40-year-old house, would we have no claim on it for historic preservation? An important thing happened there, a major piece of writing. I mean, you could even think of the Thorough House on Main Street, where he did most of the revising of Walden, and he died 12 years after the family bought the house.
Yeah, but that's over 50 years old.
No,
No.
thinking about recent.
It's older.
I'm just parallel. So my question is, does our 50-year standard effectively rule out a case for a property that has historical significance but isn't old enough?
It wouldn't be triggered now anyways. A property has to be built before 1941 currently to trigger it.
Mhm.
I guess so. My line of thought is, though I wouldn't want to muck this up, should we be thinking in the future of a still more expansive rule in
Well,
the case of historic significance?
I would think we should get this one through and see how it
Yeah.
goes and what the
Yeah.
objections or the support
Remember,
is.
I think
We agreed.
incremental is probably better.
I'm sorry,
yeah,
Rebecca, I didn't hear you. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, I think incremental is better. I think we
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
get this one through and then we worry about,
Yeah.
pushing it
Yeah.
further.
we know we've got other things to change, but honestly, if we could get the date changed, I mean, the idea of being able to be from the time of the hearing forward instead of the time of the submitting of the documents, which is, we lose a couple months on that. So I think, yeah. So that's next time. So any other discussion? Heather, you want to kind of rewrite that one line or something? And otherwise, I think this seems fine to me. I don't know about
Well,
others.
Don't forget the stats in terms of the impact of the affected property.
Well, we'll use the statistics when we make the presentation.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
You just have to delete acts from National Historic Standards, and you're okay.
Well, I thought we were going to work off of Heather's
Yeah.
first one.
We are.
Okay. Okay, that's agreed.
good with me.
Thank you. Okay. So town meeting preview update. I will defer to Heather to talk about that.
I would defer to maybe Marcia because I wasn't there.
Maybe not.
Well,
Take it over, Heather.
the coordination meeting went very well. I think, Melissa did a great job in preparing a written document that I used extensively in presenting some of the information and then provided some of the statistics that I had looked up.
Yep.
So I think based on that information and some additional work that we'll be doing, you're in good shape for presenting to this at the select board meeting toward the end of April. And I don't have that specific date, Heather, if you do.
April 13, was it? I don't know. I wrote it down. What did I think was April 13? Will that also be a Zoom? It will be a Zoom meeting.
It will be a Zoom meeting, yes.
Okay.
And then depending on the questions that are raised at that meeting, that presentation will be recorded. So it will be running on the Minuteman Network for people to watch whenever, and people will be encouraged to watch. You will not be making presentations at town meeting. It will be the same format that we had in September.
Okay.
So that's going to be on a Sunday afternoon in June. I have that date.
Did too.
The select board public hearings, April 27th.
27. Okay. April 27.
And then town meeting is June 13th.
Right, Sunday, June 13th,
Sunday, June 13th.
starting at 1:00.
Okay. So at the June 13, it'll be kind of run as people won't see anything. It'll just be, these are the different, it will be basically what's in your warrant. And we're going to be voting on this.
The Usually there's a document that's prepared that gives an update if there are any changes or if there are new motions or what the motions will be. And so that will be handed out at town meeting. And unless there may be questions asked, at which you'll be asked to respond to those questions. But other than that, there will be no presentations being made. So you need to be really prepared for the
April 27th.
hearing on April 27th. Yes.
Okay. Okay,
Be prepared.
got it. Okay. So I will, well, we got time, but I would work with you, Heather, and Marcia, about the statistics that we ought to be using. What do you think are the most compelling? And then when we use the same basic slide, which is basically just the article and the three principal changes that we're proposing, or with a slide change?
Well, the slides for
I'll
town.
have different slides probably for each of the three changes, just to kind of clarify each one.
Okay.
Frequently, there'll be an introductory slide to say you're moving as presented in the warrant or whatever the amendments might be that you're considering. So that's the first slide. Then the three changes as Heather has outlined, and then final slide. So it will be, your presentation for the public hearing should probably follow that town meeting format that you've had in the past.
Okay. Good.
I'll be putting it together, Melissa, with your help.
You did tell me that I shouldn't worry, that you'd have the baby and you'd be back and hold my hand. Thank you. Okay, because we do want this to go through, because we got more we would like to go through next year. So to get this stronger. I have to say though, I joined the listserv for Mass Historical, and this has come up with other communities, and I frankly, I'm proud that Concord has moved already this far, because there are plenty that only have a 6-month delay who are very frustrated and not getting anywhere with their folks. So we have moved forward. Okay, on to the next thing, which I don't know, they're having the meeting tonight, 18 Windmill Hill, and I think maybe it's a little late. I don't know for a fact that they've made a decision, but were any of you able to, I know Nancy has driven by and is very well aware of what's going on this property that's adjacent to the cemetery. Bob?
So there's a lot of gathering opposition from people interested in involved with the Robbins house, because Windmill Hill was where Jack Garrison, the fugitive slave from New Jersey who married Susan Robbins Middleton, where they lived. They moved out of the house on the edge of the Great Meadow and Great Field, which is now where the Robbins house stands.
Yes, yep.
And Jack Garrison and Susan and their kids moved into the first floor of the windmill. So it's a significant site of African-American history in Concord. Mm-hmm. And there are people who are raising concerns about the wiping out of that history.
Well, I think it may be a little late.
Maybe. I don't know who's making presentations tonight. I've sort of written my letter and said what I have to say. Someone else has written a very, very much expanded and much more professionally presented case about why ZBA should not approve this. And then I know there's been extensive research by people who've written letters into the Garrisons, and discussions have been had with the Robbins House people. All that is important to know, but I don't know it's going to influence the outcome.
Yeah. I'm wondering,
I'm pessimistic.
Is there a way to mark the area? I mean, if a monument of some sort that up the street, or change the name of Windmill Hill to
change it back to Garrison.
Yeah.
Garrison Hill Road, yeah.
Garrison Road used to be.
I wonder if there's a way to mobilize student communities here. I actually just recently learned that some fifth grade classes at Willard were upset that George Washington Dugan's name was not on the plaque of.
It's being put on it this year.
Yes, it's being put on because of two fifth grade classes that wrote in letters. And I wonder if there's
That's
a way
great.
to mobilize some student support and say, hey, either rename this street or put up a plaque marking this spot. And
A great idea.
yeah, try and get some people involved.
Actually, the George Washington Dugan is going to be a separate plaque that will be underneath the existing plaques for reasons that his body was never recovered from.
No, and I do know that, but still, the fifth graders are really excited and they're very proud. So I think that, it might.
We should also just note, since we're on public area, that Rick Fries did an awful lot of work pushing this over the last 4 years or so.
On what? I'm sorry. On
On
what?
on the recognition of Dugan.
Oh,
And the
okay.
thing is that Dugan, when he was left off, people then should have known that he was part of the 54th.
I didn't mean to take us on a tangent, but I guess what I'm saying is if there's, depending what the outcome is, you said that meeting's going on now. Depending on the
Yeah.
outcome, I could see if some classes wanted to get involved with something like writing letters about renaming the street or.
Yeah, that could be a separate. That could be a separate effort. Actually.
So
Yeah.
is that ever done, Marcia? I don't, oh, look who's here.
Hi, Charlotte.
Hi.
Hi,
Let
Charlotte.
us go upstairs and get her
Oh, what an adorable
She's
lady.
gonna join us.
Beautiful.
Okay, okay.
It's
So
pretty
Charlotte,
cute.
this is your first historical commission meeting. We will expect great
Again.
things.
And you're going to someday say you're spending too much time looking at screens, Charlotte.
Hello.
Oh, she's too cute. Oh,
You hold their head.
Could we
already.
propose that if they approve
Does.
this house, that we rename the street Ego Road?
what?
No, Bob.
We rename it Ego Road. I mean, the size of it's like a 6,500 square foot property.
It's a different story.
I'm not following.
Well, okay, we got several things going. We got a baby. We've got the 54th. Can I just ask you, Marcia, acknowledging Jack Garrison in some way, the Garrison family, is there any way we could do anything for this street, Windmill Hill?
I don't think we could rename it because there already is a Garrison Road in Concord. Let me think about that a little bit further. The plaque would be certainly a possibility.
Maybe Garrison Way
No,
or Lane.
the fire department would not support that.
I'm on their side, but some kind of plaque. I mean, I know that the town guides all come up with their different kind of guide tour of Concord. Some emphasize the art, some emphasize the Black experience, and there would at least be one way to acknowledge the life there.
Right.
Jack Garrison and his family moved into that windmill in 1837.
Mm-hmm.
And it apparently burned down not too long after. And the son, John Garrison Jr., moved into a cottage on Monument Street.
Oh,
And interestingly, in 1838, I believe that caught fire, and he placed a card, it's what they called it, thanking the citizens of Concord for coming to his aid and helping to put out the fire.
oh, that's really nice. That's a nice story.
Yeah.
And I hope the Robbins house has that story, I'm sure, at this point. Yeah, that's great.
So I would like to ask Rebecca, I think it seems it would be kind of nice if the Historical Commission wrote to these two fifth graders and thanked them for their efforts. Yes.
Yeah, I think that Tish Hopkins, who was also involved with that project, I think they're either the cemetery department I think they're handling the writing thank you notes, but I can double back and check on that because they worked with the teachers and the
Okay,
students.
Can I suggest one thing if they haven't thought about it to pass along? Just as the school children of Concord in 1863 petitioned Lincoln to free all enslaved children,
Oh,
I would make that connection
Mhm.
in the letter to the fifth graders.
oh, wow. That's great. Oh, Bob, it's so fun to have you on.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
there's a lot in that head. You pulled out this stuff.
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Anyway, that's good. So that's wonderful. I just think they deserve, and encourage them to continue that kind of, work and concern. Okay. I mean, originally I talked about asking everyone if we should write a letter, but I did speak with the head of the ZBA. I think tonight they're going to be making a decision. I don't know for a fact, but it seemed like they're close to it. I don't know. Don't know how the hearing's going.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's up to you guys. If you want to say you want to submit some sort of note, if it doesn't, if it gets continued, then we can submit the note. And then if it got voted on, then we don't even bother drafting anything. But that's up to you guys.
Okay. Susan?
Oh, we were both at the cemetery committee meeting, right? Melissa, you were there?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know about their process and their letter.
Yeah, I just, I think, but tonight the ZBA is meeting again, and it's I think it's one of their big issues. And I know they feel that the town or the property owner has done a lot to, they feel, to change, accommodate them. I have my own personal view about what I object to the project. And I know Nancy has participated in this, and we've certainly, I've looked at it a lot. One of the things that maybe Susan, you could explain, or Marcia, I was struck that the cemetery committee did not seem to know about the project until well into its development. I mean, they're not abutters, they're a committee.
Well, you and I talked offline about this a little bit, that no, they did. I guess it originally went to ZBA in October, and the cemetery committee found out a week before their February meeting, and it was because of a letter that had come from you, Melissa.
Yeah.
And never kind of made its way to the Friends of Sleepy Hollow, but not to the committee.
October. That's really
striking. So, because it's frustrating, because perhaps had they known then, we might have had, the fence might have been some mitigation of the fence, wall quality. And I just explained, I wrote to the Friends of the Cemetery because I just presumed the cemetery committee knew and hadn't done anything. The Friends group, I thought, well, they're an advocacy group. They will care about what's happening to the cemetery. I did not realize that the cemetery committee had not known about it. So I guess it's just, it's a matter of process, and
this speaks really loudly as do a couple of other projects in town right now, to the need for town committees and commissions to be more aware of what each other's doing. 325 Main Street is the one that's keeping me up nights right now.
The one down the street from us,
Yes,
which has been stripped to the bone.
yes. And not to mention what's going on inside, which I gather is to create an open floor plan.
Yeah.
And the destruction of original material is just, to me, as a preservation-oriented person, just breaks my heart.
My just as a side note, my 6-year-old son, when we drove by it today, said, "Look, they're building a new house." And
Exactly. He's exactly right.
We toured the inside of that house. Oh yeah, the same day you did. Remember, we ran into each other, and it had all these wonderful interior.
Yeah.
So they're
Mike wanted to buy
running
it.
that?
I'm sorry, we didn't.
Unfortunately, the HTC's jurisdiction only extends so far.
Yes, but ours does not, by the way.
Right, but HTC can't
I know.
dictate what goes on inside a house whatsoever.
No, but
Nor can they dictate.
a lot of what's happening is totally visible from the street. And it's the stripping of all the clapboarding. It's the total demolition of all the windows in the house. Every single window, it looks like to me, is being replaced. Not to mention what else, the roof trim is being replaced. It's going to look like a new house. Basically, you had a house with very high integrity, and it's going to be looking like a new house to anybody who knows the difference. But
I'm sorry, Susan, hi, yeah.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to go back to the Windmill Hill Road property for a minute. And as we discovered as I discovered, as Cemetery was speaking about it, the wall is something that the owner could put up by right. But the reason they're going to ZBA is over floor area ratio of the house that they're wanting to build. So,
Right.
square footage, I think,
Square footage issue.
750 something over what they're
What the
they would be
formula
allowed
allows.
to do. So it's an undersized lot to begin with, right? And they have a right to build 50% more, and they want even more, 770, 52, whatever it is. It's about the same square footage as the new dwelling unit itself, I think.
Yeah.
So
So,
it's maximizing the square footage of the property and then going over that and asking for more.
but again, that has nothing to do with us. I mean,
Well, it does. We don't say anything about it except for that.
well, but
The house, you've said that you think the wall, the fence is more problematical, but I think we have not seen the house yet, and there's no trees up there, and there will be no screening, and the other houses that are there are well screened, but the screening is not there.
Well,
So-
but there are other issues. I mean, there's another property back around where they have the kids have a trampoline, and the kids bounce on the trampoline when they're conducting graveside services. So, I mean, there are other,
That's respect. I saw the trampoline the other
there are
day.
other,
Be glad it's not a skate ramp.
What?
Be glad it's not a skate ramp.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, okay,
Yeah.
I think,
Anyway, sorry. You can tell I'm revved up about this.
I know that. I don't really know quite what, if I were to write a letter, if we were to write a letter, exactly what the sense of all of you is. If it turns out that they have a continuance again tonight. I got the impression from speaking with the chair that they would like to make a decision tonight, that they feel that they have continued this month after month after month, and now it's a time to.
So many months, but I think you're correct.
Yeah,
And
so
you're-
I actually
I
think,
think they will vote tonight. I
Yeah.
don't know for sure, but I'm thinking that they will.
okay, so,
But can I say one last thing? I think everybody here should read there's voluminous amount of letters that have been submitted on this project. And you should read the one by Peter Lee, because he addresses the issue of how the ZBA is supposed to view a decision on a special permit. And I thought it was really interesting. Marcia and Heather may have a different opinion, but I thought it was very articulate and clear. And
okay, I have, okay, thank you. Okay, so moving on, sort of updates on these other properties that, for which we have a delay. 1710 Lowell Road, I have heard nothing more. As I've explained before, the Middlesex folks withdrew any interest. I haven't heard whether the gentleman from California is interested in still moving the property, which he had expressed in an email to that Elizabeth Hughes forwarded. Has he contacted the town at all since then?
No.
No, I think, his presumption was the town was going to take the property by eminent domain and somehow or other give it to him, but it wasn't going to happen. 80 Conan Street, he's supposed to be submitting materials to you, Heather. Have you received?
Yep, so we received the floor plans and the photographs, and I've sent a letter authorizing the demolition since we've received those items.
Okay, I did notice that a property right next door is now on the market, which is a similar one of those. Have you seen that? So I'm wondering if they're going to come before us at some point. It's the same kind of style of home, same era.
Is it 29?
I don't know. I walked by it this morning, so it's right next door.
I got an email. I want to say it was 29 Canaan. I'd have to look real quick.
It's
But those buyers are interested in keeping it with an addition.
well, this is on the market. This is I know how to pronounce it. Zuratius,
29 if it's right adjacent, right? That wouldn't.
right next door. At any
Oh,
rate,
96.
96.
I believe they're interested in putting an addition on, not demoing,
Oh, well, good.
according to their realtor, the interested buyers.
Okay. And then 111 Ripley Hill, did we ever get materials from them? Basic materials that we'd requested?
So no, they waited out their delay. Instead of, he kind of submitted materials here and there and they were never up to snuff. And I kept going back and saying, this isn't complete. I need this information added. I need that. And then I think he just gave up and waited out his delay. But one of the planning board members did go over and take photographs. He was going to use the 3D camera, but it was malfunctioning at the time. So he did just get photographs of the interior. So we do have those.
And has the demo begun? Of the
Let's go. Oh, house is gone.
oh,
What? Yes or no?
Yes. Oh, it's gone.
Oh, it's gone already. Oh, okay. I haven't been up there for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well.
Okay. Well, then.
Can I say something about the 3D camera? I've been concerned about documentation of the interior for Wright's Tavern and have been in touch with a company that does 3D imaging at a very, very refined level. Feldman, they're surveyors, I think. But I'm going to try to convince folks that this technology would be a good thing to use on the interior of Wright's Tavern because there are no historic American building survey drawings of the interior of Wright Tavern. And I think that would be very exciting for people who might be using the camera here. I'd be interested in knowing more about that. So just an aside, but what they can do is pretty extraordinary with this imaging.
I would suggest maybe I'll bring this up when they have the meeting at the
Yeah,
end
on
of the
the
month.
24th.
Yeah, it might, one of the things they might really want to think about doing is commissioning a documentary film on Wright Tavern.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I think that could be used for many purposes, but to try to evoke, the provincial Congress together with the committee meetings in the Wright Tavern, and then put that in some larger context. I mean, the thing that's always struck me, and I talked about this a few years ago, you could not put a tavern so close to a house of worship today against the law. And it suggests, so how come it was no problem for the people who were closer to the Puritans than we are?
That's a very good question.
But Bob, I've read that a lot of the parishioners in those days were pretty smashed when they were at church.
That is the only way in which they found Calvinism acceptable.
Oh, boy.
That's from the Unitarian perspective, clearly.
Marcia, you wanted to say something.
Just that our 3D camera is not working right now, and we don't have, we need to be retrained in how to use it. So we were very excited when it first was delivered.
Yeah.
Different people were trained on it, and now that we don't have those people working for the town anymore, we're going to have to start over, and maybe new technology. I love the idea of having it, the 3D documentation.
I should send you the name of this company and some of the attachments that they sent me to show what it can do.
It's amazing what it can do.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in seeing it because I've never even seen what the 3D camera is supposed to be able to do.
I'll send you some stuff.
Okay. Yeah, and I wonder, I guess I could reach out to the company just to find out like their costs, because maybe that's something we think about in reviewing demo projects, that if an applicant doesn't want to wait, if we find it preferably preserved and they have a delay for a year, if they don't want to wait the year, then maybe we say, well, you need to have 3D images of the entire interior produced.
Yeah, I'm trying to settle in on some of that, but
okay.
So
not quite that far yet.
those 3D images, how are they stored? So, because we ask people to provide this documentation, we upload it and save it, preserve it at the library. How is it?
It's in the cloud.
Oh,
Somewhere.
okay, in the cloud. Okay.
Rebecca might know.
No, I don't. I actually was wondering, do you view them with a VR viewer, or do you view them with just a regular computer?
Well, these guys take these images and make them into construction grade documents.
Wow.
So accurate to within an 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch, depending on what you're using them for. So I have examples of the drawings that were made from some of these. And then some of the images, this is Feldman Land Surveyors or something. And some of the images are quite psychedelic. So I said, well, that's not,
check it out. I don't know.
that's not totally useful.
What did
So
you say it was called, Nancy?
Feldman, yeah, just a minute. I'll get you. So it'd be fun to look at their website.
Yeah, that's where I'm headed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, while Nancy's looking for that, we can just move on because just to remind you, the observer assignments, which I sent back to all of you. Tom was to be the cemetery, Alan, the HDC, myself, the planning board, Nancy, CPC, and Public Works. Rebecca, you were looking into the Economic Vitality Committee and then Concord Together. So just as a reminder that it really does matter to know what others are doing.
I only had 2. Can you repeat that?
You had the CPC.
CPC, Public Works.
And Public Works. And I know you care about the HDC, but
yeah, I can't help myself.
Yeah. And then I guess I always would ask you, Susan, if there's stuff that you were aware of, can we always ask you to tell us?
Yes, absolutely.
I can't count on seeing you as you drive by here.
Yeah. Yes, I will definitely report back with anything that seems to mesh nicely with what you all are doing.
So thank you. Then moving on, Nancy, have you got the address?
It's, whoops, I just had it and I just lost it. It's Feldman Surveyors, feldmansurveyors.com.
Okay.
FELDMAN surveyors.com.
Okay. So
And it's niftier than their website shows, but I'll report back again on that. I think I have a report from ZBA, maybe. Anyway, keep going.
okay, so just moving on to other business and public comment, since we are our own public, we have no public tonight. Marcia.
I would like to just let you know that the
Just the public.
Open Space Task Force is going to be starting design for that open space associated with the assisted living project over in the former Department of Corrections land, and that was the site for the 1859 massacre that occurred in Concord just prior to the Civil War. So recall I don't know, the McCone brothers were supposed to have talked to you, your commission, and it might be in old notes, but they were doing some research about that event. The militia from across the Commonwealth all came to Concord and mustered for a week or two in the area between the Assabet River and the north side of Warner's Pond. So as we're designing the open space, there may be an opportunity to bring the history of the site forward as we move.
Marcia, have they talked to David Wood at the Concord Museum?
This group has not. They
should, because in the exhibit they did a few years ago, there's a big focus on that, and David knows quite a lot.
Oh, excellent.
And I mean, in a sense, that whole militia gathering indicates that Massachusetts, at least, was getting ready for an impending civil war.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And John Shepherd Keyes of Concord oversaw the whole thing. And he was sheriff of Middlesex. And his experience in that was of some significance for his finally being named by Lincoln to take charge of Lincoln security at the inauguration in 1861.
Wow. So eventually, Marcia, will there be, again, a plaque of some sort?
I have no idea right now, but I just want you to be aware of it, because one of the things they are required to do is reach out to you and discuss their plans. So,
Good. Good.
I just wanted to add to what Bob said, that, it was a Civil War exhibit that they did a few years ago. And David he's a deep well of knowledge on that, as many other things. But I remember him saying at the time that there were that backs up that they were preparing for the war, that there are a whole lot of patents issued around that time for firearms improvements. So
Interesting.
it was really interesting stuff. Yeah.
Bob, is there some place where we could go read about this? Is there something?
Well, the thing to do is to ask David if, I don't think the exhibit is on the Concord Museum website. Susan, do you remember, was there a booklet or anything?
Oops, sorry. I don't think there was a catalog. But I can't remember. But David Wood or Carol Haynes, who is the exhibit designer, would either of them would be a good source. David would know. He could probably quote chapter and verse his source.
There are a lot more militia units in Concord in 1859 than were here in April 19, 1775.
Well, Bob, you've probably seen the list of supplies that were secreted all over Concord, and there were massive numbers of all kinds of munitions and supplies and whatnot for kind of a sizable little army. Right?
Yeah.
Lots of preparation and anticipation.
Susan, do you remember when they did this exhibit at the Concord Museum?
I'm thinking maybe around, it was 2014-ish.
Okay.
Yes, sometime in the last decade.
I was still working there, and I left in 2015. So I think it was 2014, and it was actually April 19th. Patriots Day was, oh no, we're talking about Civil War, sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking April 19th. The Civil War was around that time. It was early.
It was in between the farming one and the
oh, okay. in the baseball.
Okay.
But David will have it at his feet.
And it may be actually online if they're,
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
I'm looking on their site right now and I don't see it from 2014. I see the agricultural one you just mentioned. Greatest source of wealth, agriculture in Concord was through March of 2013.
how about 2012?
Do you remember what they called it?
Ah, here we go. When Duty Whispers, Concord and the Civil War.
Yeah.
It was in 2011.
Okay.
Oh,
So they do. They have a whole thing about it on the website.
Oh, fantastic. Great. But I will contact David to get more information.
It would be really valuable to have a marker there.
Yeah, yeah. Excellent.
Thanks, Rebecca. That's great.
Thank you.
On the spot. Wow.
Oh, okay. So tonight, the only thing we're still missing is that airplane interview. Okay. Well, any other additional business, outside business?
Very quickly, I'm looking into some training from the state on historic preservation laws, regulations, secretary standards, and whatnot. I think it would be fun for us and maybe HDC and maybe other ZBA and other town committees to have this kind of an opportunity. So I'm just looking into what that might look like.
Okay. Well, thank you. Because it reminds me, the other thing, I reached out to Peter Nobley, who is the chair of the HDC, to say that, you know, there's interest in some kind of joint meeting in the not too distant future, just to understand what each of our commissions does and to be aware of it. He was very interested in doing that, thinking that perhaps we could agree that we would, because you never quite know what your agenda is going to be because you don't know what is going to happen. But say from 7 to 8, 8:15, each commission would conduct their own meeting, and then we would join together as a group for sort of a public discussion, but a discussion about what each other does.
Yeah,
Does that
great.
seem okay to you, Marcia and Heather?
That'd be great.
Is there any issue that we deal with as a historical commission that comes before these related bodies? Because a way to share perspectives might be for each group to talk about how it would deal with the common issue.
Good question.
Probably,
Not
yes.
sure,
I
because
think that could be really valuable, especially with the ZBA. I'm thinking of 612 Barrett's Mill Road and the information as it was presented and our lack of picking up on the details that the structure was actually going to be totally destroyed. And it was just before they removed the entire rear of the building. It was like, wait a minute. So that would be a really good.
Yeah.
And that's a building that's in the Historic Resources Guide.
oh, absolutely, it was Colonel Barrett Jr.'s property. You know, that was, there was a number of problems with that one.
There's
Major Barrett, he liked to be known.
Excuse me. Major Barrett, excuse me.
Colonel,
At any rate,
Colonel James Barrett.
He didn't do as well as his father.
okay. Okay. At any rate, that's a good one. Well, and also, the whole problem, this 18 Windmill Hill, because of 15 feet off the historic district that, I think one of the ideas is that something, of course, that's not a demolition, but
It's an impact.
adjacency to an historic property like this Sleepy Hollow, that there's nobody has any authority to influence. It's just public comment, which is not insignificant.
Can I just grumble that the builder, as I understand it, the builder on Windmill Hill Road was one of the litigants in the Estabrook Woods case.
Really?
Yes, where
Interesting.
he took a stand deeply rooted on an understanding of history to uphold the position.
It was deeply rooted in history?
No, claimed it was,
Oh,
but appealed to the past when it was in his interest, but doesn't care about the past when it's not.
yeah.
I Googled when the information became public, who was involved, and I found
That's
their
interesting.
names on the side of
The land.
blocking public access.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
I thought you all knew that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Okay,
It's
so
also the case that the architect for the Barrett's Mill semi-demo is also involved in the Windmill Hill project in terms of designing the new accessory dwelling unit. So,
okay, well, moving along, the minutes we need to review are, I think you meant November 12th. I thought it was November 12th. Not February 11th.
Did you guys review the November minutes already?
No,
No, you haven't. Okay.
I don't believe so.
I didn't read them tonight. I'm sorry to say.
Oh,
It didn't look to me like they were ready to be read and voted on, so I didn't.
the November 11th, November 12th?
Well, just the way it was listed, I didn't think it was being presented for approval.
Oh,
Why not?
Because it usually comes first.
What?
pardon?
Because it usually comes first on our agenda.
The minutes? No, the minutes usually come last. That's why we never get to them.
Some minutes come first for some committees, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, typically ours have been coming last. Well, I have read them. I found them fine, but if not enough
I didn't.
people have, then I think we should take them up on the next meeting, if that's okay.
Yeah, I did not read them.
Okay. If everyone can just read them for the next one, because they are from November and it's March.
Yeah, right.
Last,
Right.
And Alan said that he was still working on the minutes from the last meeting.
Has Michael sent you the minutes from,
No.
okay.
And the minutes are old enough. It's great because then you feel nostalgia.
Michael took them for January.
Okay.
Okay. So, okay. Well,
Don't have a recording of that, so I'll see if I have minutes, because I was taking notes through that meeting.
yeah.
Check what I have.
I
didn't realize you recorded, so I apologize.
If no one has any other additional comment, then I would ask for a motion to end the meeting.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor? Nancy?
Aye.
Bob? Aye.
well,
Melissa? Aye. Our next meeting will be Thursday, April 8th, 7 o'clock.
Yes, and we'll have the public hearing for Nishotic, the demo.
Okay, so please, if you haven't, the materials that Marcia had submitted, they're on the website. Also, I would encourage you to drive by that property on some top of Nishotic Hill. Everyone. Thank you, Susan, for joining us always. And thank you, everybody. Good
Pleasure.
night.
All right. Good night,
bye,
everyone.
Charlotte.
Hi, Charlotte. Is she asleep?
Charlotte.
She's having her last bottle of milk and then she's going to bed.
Right.
That's good for
Bye,
mom.
every- bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.